All right. Hello, everyone. This is Nancy Rebecca, and I'm going to be talking about February's frequency forecast. So, because this is a live event, it's being streamed through StreamYard. I'm live here on YouTube and also live on Facebook. And just remembering on Facebook, when you make comments through StreamYard, just include your name in the comments section as well. I see there's a lot of you starting to find this talk. So I'll go ahead and get started and know that you can catch up. So I am, again, as I said, hi, good morning, Dawn. So my name's Nancy Rebecca. I have been teaching intuitive psychic development for 25 years now, and not because it was this kind of new, shiny, fun thing to enjoy, but because I knew that during this great time of change, although I didn't know it like that, but I knew that in the future it would be essential for us to really be able to trust our intuition, our psychic ability to help kind of guide us and help us to navigate through these really kind of exciting times that we're living in, but at the physical level can be pretty darn rough. So, hi, happy February to you, Rebecca. Good morning, Donna. Hi, Kirsten. Hello, Warrior Girl. Sunny Phoenix, glad to hear that. Our weather's, we had a little bit of snow a few days ago. So thank you, Julia, for anchoring the light grid in Florida. So welcome, welcome, welcome. So what I'm going to be talking about is this mountain rising. So I'll explain a little bit more about what I mean. Past lives collapsing, budget money. We're going to talk about money because there's some big, big things around money that's coming up, and babies being born right now. So those are the main subjects that Spirit wanted me to talk about in this frequency forecast. So right away, Spirit shows me things in images. Remember, I am predominantly clairvoyant, which means I can see into the spirit world and the physical world at the same time. And there are these kind of light codes that are coming in. There's all these symbols that are coming in. And so over that 25 years, I've just learned how to look at the symbology and then let Spirit interpret it for me. And me receiving it and understanding that interpretation is another thing. So right away, the frequency forecast for February shows me like I am on a rocking sidewalk that you would find in a fun house, rolling back and forth as I attempted to maintain my balance and remain in the upright position. So this is that indicator of what's happening right now in February. What's interesting is that it is inside this kind of carnival fun house. So I asked Spirit why, and I heard this roaring laughter. And so when I asked them to interpret that at a different level, they just said, what's going to really get us through, besides intuition, psychic ability, and taking care of ourselves physically, is humor. So this whole month of February, I'm going to be talking about the energy and frequency of humor because we're really going to need it. So I wasn't sure what was happening for the frequency of February. So when I was sitting and meditating, I usually will just really feel into and sense and see and hear what's going on every single day in February. It was extremely disoriented. I wrote on my piece of paper, a very warpish energy, extremely disorienting, like someone tipped the floor and all the furniture comes sliding towards me. But this is the weird thing. It's as if the furniture just passed right through me very, very rapidly. I'm going to explain more about exactly what's happening there. There was chaos around as if everyone I know has had some sort of unplanned event upend their life. So how many of you have experienced since January some type of unscheduled event that has kind of turned your life upside down. And it may not, like in my situation, it wasn't kind of in my life, but it was around my life, and it was happening to people that um, find support in my care, and I find support in their care. And so what am I going to do? I'm going to help support. So yeah, lots and lots and lots of things going on. Then I was shown a juggler. So all this is significant because this symbology is all around being playful, being humorous, having some fun. So then Spirit showed me as this juggler, and I have like 20 balls in the air, and I've been trying to juggle these balls, and they're really high, and I'm running back and forth trying to capture these balls. And Spirit just keeps saying, just let them go, like just let them go. From that human perspective, you can feel that the stress level of trying to keep all the balls in the air, and each ball represents an event that's going on in your life, and you're trying to maintain these events so that they don't crash and burn. But we are in a huge phase of kind of frequency collapsing. And so some of those things need to collapse and they need to go away. If they're not meant to collapse, they won't. If they're not meant to fall, they won't. So this is what Spirit's trying to really get us to understand right now. But there's so much shifting at the same time. So I was talking to my students, because remember I teach intuitive psychic development. And so I was talking to my students where, let's say that you lived 500 years ago or 1,000 years ago, you may experience a vibrational frequency shift, let's say once every 50 years, and then eventually it moves up to maybe once a year. Are any of you old enough to remember having long periods of time where your life would be just like pretty even keeled? And then once in a while it got upended, but it would be even keeled for a long period of time so you could recover. Well, now here we are in the year 2023 in this February frequency forecast, and it's like boom, 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 all in one day. So this is the difference between then and now. And that's why it's so funny, because so many people say, I want to go back to the way it was. And they think that they need to make changes in our current life and lifestyle so that things will slow down. But that's not possible because everything's speeding up. So no matter what you do, it's still speeding up. Hi, Carol. It's nice to see you as well. And yes, it's nuts out there. Okay, so I said this is kind of like, have you ever taken dance lessons? And it was, I said I took ballroom dancing, but that wasn't the type of dancing I took, but it was a partner type dancing. And I don't know if any of you have ever taken dancing classes, but it's always, you have a lead and you have a follower. So it's usually the man that's the lead, but if you have a class full of women, it can be the woman that's the lead. And then usually the woman follows in the dance steps. And the lead, so let's just say the lead does the dance steps to the music, but depending on how the lead moves their wrist, tells you if it's pressing this way, you go backwards. If it's pulling, you move forward. If it's to the left or right. So you really have to read the signals of your partner. But then in the dance class, it's like every 10 minutes we'd switch partners, and every 10 minutes we'd switch partners, and then we'd switch partners again. And each lead is different. Each individual moves through the dance steps in their own way. So as a follower, you've got to be able to read the signals quickly. And that's what's happening right now. But who's the lead? If we're not talking about a dance class, who's the lead? Your own spirit. The God of your heart is the lead. But how often throughout your day are you asking Spirit, could you give me some guidance right now? Could you give me some guidance right now? And your spirit can help you to choose what to make for dinner, how many crackers to eat, you know, when to do the laundry. I mean, your spirit can help you to navigate real life, real problems. You don't have to wait to ask your spirit if you're going through a divorce. It's like ask your spirit a long time before that, you know, what needs to happen and what's happening and how can you resolve it or not resolve it. I mean, in some situations, your spirit might be saying, 8 years ago, you should have separated, but because your mind got in the way, you didn't, you know. So, anyway, who's the lead in this dance that we are going through in this frequency forecast of February? Your spirit. You have to remember that. Put post-it notes all over your house if you need to. You have to remember. So then Spirit said, this is practice class. This is practice class. So practicing, asking your spirit again and again and again. Master it now. This is what Spirit said. Master it now because you will be rapidly moving to faster dance steps at a higher professional competition to see how quickly you can become shifting on your toes while smiling and laughing all at the same time. This is practice. And this is February. I mean, we've got this intense rapid movement until May. So we're just getting started. And we definitely started getting started in January. Okay. So in January, the frequency forecast and the year frequency forecast, you heard me talk about how grounding is essential. It's so significant. And then the earth energy, how significant that is to calm us. And honestly, I have to be really honest as someone who's been teaching hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of students and teaching classes and giving talks. I don't know how anybody can smoothly make it through this big time of change without meditating. That's just it. That's the bottom line. And meditating every single day. So I used to always say, well, if you can meditate once a week, try once a week. If you could, because, you know, people are like, I can't do it. My head's too busy. It's like, everybody can do it. You just haven't found the right meditation yet. So this month is all about returning to a state of amusement with emphasis on being playful, entertaining, laughter, and lighthearted. All right. I wrote a stack of stressors that was going on just in my life. And if you wrote down that stack of stressors, you would have to laugh at all the craziness or you would cry. What's happening is part of the stacked pressure of stress is this internal collapsing of old karmic things to resolve, old past lives. So remember at the higher frequency of these kind of multi-dimensional levels, that as the universe is expanding in consciousness, as the universe is awakening and going to higher frequencies, there are some lower frequencies that cannot sustain those higher frequencies. You happen to be one of them. That's why you have to be able to support your body during this time and be kind of like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to work. Yep, you're going to have to work at supporting yourself. But what Spirit said is, imagine that you have 100 past lives that you've lived before. And the thing about past lives, you're always working off. Let's say that you've read the book all the way to the last chapter, but you didn't finish the last chapter. So each past life, let's say it has a chapter in that book of that past life that hasn't been resolved. You will carry that information, the spiritual lessons, into this lifetime with you so you can engage with people or work or yourself or your family and tie up those loose ends of those past lives. Once you've kind of the pennies dropped, you've kind of resolved, it's got a nice, neat little bow. Then that past life goes away and you're no longer kind of working through that filter of that past life. So now start to imagine, just pretend that suddenly yesterday you had, 15 past lives suddenly just collapsed. So all of those 30, I don't remember what I said, 20 or 30 past lives, all of a sudden you're trying to resolve those 20 lives karmically very rapidly. So how does this look in your outer world? Well, let's say that you have a karmic piece with your best friend, or let's say with your father, or let's say with your boss at work. All of a sudden those relationships are rapidly kind of in your face, and you've got to keep an even keel while you're resolving those issues and keeping the doors open, right? So you're trying to learn from them. It's rapid, advanced work. It's almost like, we've moved from elementary school to middle school to maybe high school now. Maybe some of us have moved to university, but it is fast paced. So past lives are collapsing. Spirit also showed me this mountain where it's just this magnificent mountains, and Spirit saying that that's you. You're that mountain. You're that mountain of towering strength that was created from pressure. I mean, how do you think mountains were created? There's a big shift in the earth that comes together, and that what the land that's underneath, the rocks that are underneath, get pushed to the surface. And the more there's that push, the higher and stronger the mountains are. Now, I live in Washington State. We've got quite a few volcanic mountains here. And it's the same, where the lava comes up and it's just this powerful energy force that comes to the surface and builds this mountainous strength. And that's why Spirit said, you're all building mountainous strength right now. And not just in February, although this pressure seems to really be rising now in February. It's going to continue. The end of March is the biggest, gigantic shift of all. So we're building up that pressure. So you want to remember to just keep dancing as fast as you can while you're laughing. You're going to be resolving karmic issues, good, bad, ugly, very rapidly, and sometimes all at the same time in one day. So just keep laughing about it. Just like Nemo, just keep swimming. Just want to jump and talk about budget and money. So what Spirit was saying, that money is energy, and that we're having a lot of money kind of leaking or draining. We're losing a lot of energy through money. So Spirit's not saying, okay, really tighten up the budget. But what Spirit is saying is go through your entire budget and look at where you're wasting resources. So let's say simply it's a cable bill or a phone bill, for example. Like we discovered that, I'd had my daughter on the phone bill, and that she was no longer using it. And it was like, but we're still paying that monthly. That's what they're talking about. Go through all your bills, go through your budget, look at everything. If you're not using it, but you're still paying that monthly charge that's coming out of your checking account, just start to trim those things. That's going to help you to not have so many energy leaks out of your energy field. Because remember, everything in your life that you have physically, energetically, you hold somewhere in your energy field. You all hanging in there with me? All right, the last thing, let's see. And babies, that was the other thing. They said that since kind of September of 2022, babies that are being born at this time have a very high level of kind of star being quality. We definitely have heard of rainbow children and crystal children and what was the other one? Indigo children. There's a lot of this. We have heard of star children, but these are beings that are, excuse me, babies that are able to really be tapped in and remain tapped in at a multidimensional level. So we'll just have to stay on top of what that's going to look like. But I'd be very curious to hear anybody. Oh, Warrior's saying a diamond frequency. You know what, Warrior Girl? I'm you're on to something there. Okay. Wanted to just share about unity consciousness. Remember, we're moving from this individual consciousness to a unity consciousness. So I want to share a little story that's going to really drive that home. So my grandson, one of the nicest guys on the face of the planet. So he's 15, very sweet, very caring. So I was talking to him the other day, and he had gone to a basketball game at school. And I said, well, how was that? Because he's kind of a bookworm and he doesn't socialize a lot. So anyway, he goes to this basketball game at his school. He said, I didn't like it. It was really boring. I've just decided I don't like watching sports. As a matter of fact, he goes, I don't like sports at all. I'm never going to go to a basketball game again, blah, 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 blah. So then I said, as his grandmother, but what about team support or school support or showing school spirit, even if you don't like basketball? You know, sitting in the stands and supporting those who are competing for different titles, you know, as they move along in the season. You know, so thinking about that. So I just kind of wanted to plant that seed that sometimes it's not all about you. And that's what I'm trying to say right now. You know, what about that team spirit, that unity spirit, that support? And then the other thing, he went with his class to the local shelter. He was really looking forward to going to the homeless shelter. He was really hoping to engage with those who are having a hard time. He was hoping to help, you know, feed and serve at lunch. And the job he was given was to rake the leaves in the grass outside the shelter. He never got to go in the shelter. So he was really bummed because he wanted to be right there in the middle of it all. He couldn't see that raking leaves is a support of the whole. And so every single one of you that are on this call today, who are listening to the recording later, I want you to start looking at life in that way. I'm in service, I'm support. I may not be right where I want to be, but I'm an equal player. It's just like in soccer, you know, it's always the person who gets the ball in the net that's like, you know, it's like the star of the show. But what about all the people that moved that ball down the field? And so we want to start thinking it's not always about you. It's about our community. It's about our family. It's about, you know, things that are happening in the world that are bigger than us. All right, so we're going to do a meditation. Can everybody breathe? February is so active. And although I'm super excited about March 23rd, 2023, you'll want to mark that down on your piece of paper and make big, bold letters, because that's where Pluto moves out of Capricorn and into Aquarius. But I'll talk more about that in the weeks to come. In this meditation, we're going to play with the energy, just a little bit of amusement. We're going to try to lighten things up a bit, because I've given you a ton of action steps to take today. Start taking today. But Spirit wants you to start practicing at naming the problem, getting the solution to the problem, getting the action step to the problem, and then saying, next problem, please. And then we're going to get the next problem, the solution to the problem, the action step you need to take to the problem, and then next, we're going to do it again next. So let's see how fast you can problem solve. All right. Go ahead, close your eyes and turn within. And good morning, Lena. Thanks for hopping on. So we're just starting a meditation. Even if you have never meditated before in your life, just follow my guidance and pretend and imagine you know what you're doing. Say hello to your body. Say hello to your spirit. And then just tell yourself, wow, I better really ground for this one. And so what I mean by grounding, for those who've never heard of that before, just go ahead and pretend like you're a tree with a deep root system. If the rest of you out there are used to my teachings about grounding, you want to pretend and kind of create another image for grounding, you're very welcome to do that. But you're going to pretend that there's this energy force field that connects around your hips. It's going to go through the chair or the bed or the floor, through the basement, the earth's crust, down to the very center core of the earth, and then wrap your grounding energy force around the core. Remind yourself this is going to be important every day as you go along, or several times a day. Remind yourself of what today's date is. Remind yourself of how old you are. It's called present timing, present aging. You cannot go back to the way things were. And moving forward, it really is an incredible world. Present time, present age. So now pretend that you're going to invite into the room where you are this large, radiant, cosmic ball of light. And let's make it today cobalt lapis blue, kind of a beautiful, beautiful, rich, darker blue. Silver. So add a dash of silver or a lot of silver. And then to that blend of blue and silver, add another ingredient to your cosmic recipe of amusement, playfulness, and laughter. So imagine this energy is infusing with the silver and the blue. You're just going to mix up that cosmic light. And then invite it to flow through the top of your aura, through the top of your head, your human body, and just let it just flow right through, dissolving any stress, any seriousness, enhancing laughter, amusement, and playfulness. Amusement heightens your ability to problem solve because it helps you to be lighter minded, lighthearted. Really let it soak in. Blue, silver, amusement, playfulness, energy. Really let it soak in. If you notice it's just going down one side of your body, set your intention that it also flow through the other side of your body, and then let it all flow right down your grounding. Let some of that blue, silver, and amusement go to the center of the earth. Remind yourself one more time today's date and your age. Because so many past lives are collapsing right now, it can flip you out of present time. So keep reminding yourself. All right, let's do a little problem solving. We're going to go quick. So think of something in your life that's a problem to be solved. Something that's going on right now. It can be little, it can be big. What's the problem to be solved? You're going to go off pure knowingness here, pure knowingness. What's the solution? Get the very first answer that comes. What's the problem? What's the solution? I don't know is not an answer, so just go with it. What's the problem? What's the solution? What's one action step you need to take, your spirit wants you to take towards that solution? What's one action step? All right, let that go because your spirit is now saying to you, next. So just imagine the next problem is stepping up to the front of the line. What's the problem? What's the solution? What's the action step? One action step. Problem, solution, action step. Let it all go. We're going to do it one more time as your spirit says, next problem, please. Remember, going off pure knowingness. The answers are just going to drop in. What's the problem? What's the solution? What is one action step that you can take towards resolving that problem? All right, go ahead and let go of any problem solutions or action steps that were kind of floating around. Let some more of that blue, silver, and amusement flow right down your grounding. One more time, remind yourself today's date, how old you are. And whenever you're ready, go ahead and open your eyes and stretch out. I could feel that reticence of, can I really make decisions that quickly? I don't know, but Spirit wants us to practice. Remember those dance steps. So just keep practicing. You might trip over your feet a few times. And I am going to just put a little kind of waiver here that you're going to sign in the air. Nancy is not responsible for the decisions that I make. However, if it's a big decision, be discerning and come at it from several different approaches, or you can ask yourself every day for a while. I always would tell my clients, once you've made a big energetic shift, don't make these huge decisions like moving to another country. Just let it sit for about 30 days, but keep asking that question. So that's my little addendum. So you've got some action steps that you know you're taking. To remember, amusement helps you solve problems quicker, because war is not funny. There's nothing funny about war. There's nothing funny about the violence and the shooting. There's nothing funny about being hurt and harmed by another person. There's nothing funny about that. But that amusement energy, it lightens us up a bit so that we can not get mired and buried in the problems of the world, that we can start to move to solve these big world issues that we're having right now. So past lives are collapsing. So just know that when you're working out little karmic pieces, tying up that bow, letting go of it, remember you're like the mountain. Enormous pressure is building enormous strength. Remember to go through your budget. You don't have to trim everything back to nothing. Just stop the leak. And babies, start looking at babies and seeing, you know, what you're noticing, those who've been born the latter part of 2022. So all right, you've all got a lot of action. I'm going to be talking about amusement and playfulness all month long, because we need to just keep those dance steps going. And then I'll be having the spring equinox information coming up. Spring equinox is going to be on the 19th, and then the big shift is March 23rd. So be looking for that to come up, the group reading that will be happening on the 19th. All right, everyone, have a fantastic weekend, and I will see you next week as we talk more about amusement. And please post what that experience was like for you, working with the blue, silver, and amusement, but also the problem-solving action. Did it come to you? Was it a little hard? So anyway, would love to hear your stories. Have a blessed day to you too, Warrior Girl. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.